Hello, my name is Auslyn, and today I'm going to be talking about the 7 books that I read in January. I'm going to be starting with the first book that I read in January, Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I got this as my last book of the month book. I wanted to cancel my subscription, but I had a credit, so I was just waiting until there was one that I was interested in. And I read Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney last year, so I was like, whatever, I'll get this one. In terms of how much I would recommend it to other people, I think it could be very predictable, especially if you're going into it thinking about what the twist is gonna be, and I didn't. I kind of just wanted a book that I would turn my brain off and there would be suspense, and it gave me that. I rated it 4 to 5 stars in terms of my experience reading it, I guess. But my main thing was I kept feeling bad for the dog. I was I just want the dog to be okay. I just want the dog to have his person. You know, you can put a dog in your story and I'm gonna like it more, most likely. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it could be very predictable because of what the twist is, I guess. It's about a man, an author, whose wife goes missing, and then a year later his agent invites him to go to a remote Scottish island to try and write, because he hasn't been able to write anything in the years since his wife went missing, and stuff on the island gets weird. And I like when stuff gets weird, so I enjoyed it. The next book is A Stranger in the House by Sherry Lapina. And this one I rated a 4.5 stars. And I don't think I really have any amendment to that. I wouldn't say that I don't recommend it to any specific types of people. I really liked the reveals in this one. I think the reveals weren't really super shocking reveals. It was you were dropped little breadcrumbs to lead you up to the reveal. So it wasn't oh my god, I never would have seen this coming. But I liked it. I liked that delivery of twist or whatever as well. 4.5 stars. Also, I really like the main character. So this one I don't have because I read it as an ebook on Libby. I think I actually listened to most of it on Spotify as an audiobook. I think it was a decent audiobook experience. The tandem audiobook and ebook experience was a little bit weird because the ebook was edited in 2020 or something like that, and it's it makes references to TikTok, and obviously the audiobook is referencing MySpace, so it's just weird, a little odd. Not MySpace, but Tumblr or whatever. I rated it 5 stars, but that is mostly in the context of the fact that I was a really big fan of the show when I was a teenager, so there is a really big nostalgia factor. I think if you're going into it without any prior context of Pretty Little Liars, I think that it can be a little bit boring, because the first book is literally it's all just set up for the rest of the series. Not that much actually happens in the first book, but I think it did a lot better job setting up. I'm gonna make another video, I think, talking about the book series versus the show, so I'll go more in depth of a comparison. But in the book 1, Ezra is worse. I think I dislike him so much more in the book. He's just so gross, and I'm please don't talk to this man. Obviously I feel that way watching the show, but it's ugh. Yeah, not much to say. It's a lot of setup for a teen drama. The next book, I'm sorry, I keep looking at my reading journal. So the next book I have is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I love this book. I love this book so much. It is so beautiful, and I genuinely forgot that a man wrote it like multiple times while I was reading it. I couldn't believe it. I learned so much about homes for unwed mothers while I was reading it. One thing that I will say before, if you're thinking about reading this book, it is not as like magical as you think it's gonna be, because it's like based around witchcraft. There is definitely elements of magic, but it's not like they're like casting spells every chapter or something like that, you know what I mean? The witchcraft is a lot more in like togetherness and womanhood, and it's such a beautiful book about like the bond that you create with a fetus while it's forming, even if you don't necessarily like want it. I love it so much. And like, I'm pro-abortion, this book is pro-abortion, but like when you're developing a fetus all the way to the 9 months point and then you give it away when you don't really want to, but like your life can't handle the consequences of having a baby, you know? I love it. So good. One of my favorite books I've ever read. Like, I cannot say enough about how excellent this book is. 2 books that I've read by Grady Hendrix, both were about like teenage girls, and they were so good. I don't know if like Grady Hendrix had a lot of sisters, or I don't know. He writes teenage girls quite well. Also, cried many times reading that book, and especially at the ending. Okay. Now that I've gotten that out of my system, I think I'm going to talk about that book probably like 5 more times this year, at least. The next one is Snow Place for Murder by Diane Kelly. And this is actually the first cozy mystery that I've ever read, and it's also the 3rd in this series, but I don't think I knew that when I bought it. I just like grabbed it from Barnes & Noble because I was like, oh, that's cute, there's a cat on the cover. For this being my first cozy mystery, I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a very fun time. I really liked the relationship between the main character and her sons and her ex-husband and her current boyfriend, and I just liked all the different character dynamics, and I liked the way that the mystery turned out. Very good, very good. Made me get a couple more cozy mysteries because I enjoy it. And the one that I got is actually the first one in the series. The 2 that I have. I did have one like very minor criticism of this, and like it doesn't apply. If it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply, because I haven't read the first 2 books. But the author explained like every character's relationship to the main character as if it was like your first time meeting them, and I'm assuming it's not. So I don't know if that would get a little annoying, like every time you read the book being like, this is my boyfriend, and this is the chef from across the street, and we've talked about her for 3 books now, but yeah, that's her again. Here's her whole backstory. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't apply, but I'm assuming it does. Alright, so the next one is The Return by Rachel Harrison. And this was Rachel Harrison's debut. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5. Again, I really enjoyed this one. The only other Rachel Harrison that I've read was Black Sheep. And when I bought this, I think I thought that I liked Black Sheep more than I did. I gave Black Sheep a 3.5, so I didn't like dislike it at all, but it wasn't like I didn't like especially like it either. I think I felt like Black Sheep leaned a little too like cozy horror. Like it just didn't really feel like there was much actual horror going on. So I felt like cozy horror was like the best description, because like it's considered horror and it's like cultish stuff, but like again, like not that much actually happens, I feel like, in Black Sheep. It's just a lot of weird paranoia. But The Return was really good. I really, really enjoyed The Return. I think that Rachel Harrison should lean more into like thriller horror instead of like not scary horror. I don't know. That's so mean. I'm sorry. I think that book was really effective. It actually had me like anxious a lot of the time while I was reading it, and I think that a lot of the descriptions were really good. I'm not really someone that can visualize things very easily, but I visualized a lot of this book very, very well. For the last book that I actually finished this month so far, and I am filming this on in the evening of the 31st, so I might finish another book by tonight, but I'll just talk about that one, I'll fully talk about that one in the next video. I am gonna talk about my, not the next video, but the next wrap-up. But I am gonna talk about the books that I'm currently reading, so if I finish one, it's probably one of those. So the last book that I have is Black Mouth by Ronald Malfi. This one, you might see a theme in all of the books that I like, but Beautiful Ugly and this one both kind of center around alcoholic male main characters who are going through weird grief trauma stuff, and they're using their alcoholism as a crutch. I think that is a very effective horror thing. I don't know. I thought this was really good. It gets really weird and trippy at the end, but in a good way that I like a lot. And also I cried a lot reading this book. I think it has a lot of themes of sibling dynamics and breaking the cycle, and just I gave this one 5 stars as well. I have to sit on this one for a little longer to see if this one's going to be another all-time favorite, but I definitely want to read more Ronald Malfi. So those are all the books that I have finished. I don't have the dust jacket for it, but hello. So I have technically finished 2 stories of this. I don't have the dust jacket for it, so it's You Like It Darker by Stephen King. It's his most recent short story collection. And also the first full short story collection of his that I've read, so that might be a mistake. Who knows? I got this one because it had this sequel to... It has a sequel short story to, I think, Cujo. Maybe. But yeah, that's why I got it. I got it when it released, and I haven't read it until now. So the first 2 stories I've read, and they are Two Talented Bastards and The Fifth Step, which Two Talented Bastards I rated 3 out of 5 stars. That one, I just felt like it could have done a lot more with the concept, and my bad for expecting all of the short stories in a short story collection whose tagline is "You Like It Darker? Well, so do I." My bad for expecting all of those stories to be horror, I guess, because the literal first one is just a sci-fi fantasy. But it wasn't bad, it was just not what I was expecting going into it, so I rated it at 3 stars. It was an interesting take on the deal with the devil trope, I guess. Spoilers for Two Talented Bastards by Stephen King. Why did he only spend 5 pages on in a 60-page short story about them making a deal with aliens to harness all of their talent? Why would that only get 5 pages in a 60-page short story? It's a waste of my time. A little bit of a waste of my time, if I'm gonna be completely honest. But it's fine. It's fine. Just 5 pages on the aliens in a 60-page... Next one. I rated The Fifth Step. I rated a 2 out of 5 stars. So predictable. Pretty lame. And he was using an elderly person to try to make me feel bad. Feel worse. Shame on you. Stop using old men in all your stories, you old man. Stephen King. Again, spoilers for the fifth step, literally as soon as the like secondary character or whatever sat down and was like, I'm supposed to confess my wrongs, I was like, oh my god, okay, so he's a fucking murderer and he's gonna kill him. Like, obviously. What else would it be? I mean, I don't know. I'm not the writer, so I'm not supposed to come up with what else it could be besides the one most obvious thing. But anyway, yeah, those are the two that I've read out of this book so far, and obviously I'm not having a great time. But I have 10 stories left, so he has a chance to redeem himself. And I need to read his older short stories, because he's like an old man suffering from coke brain. Recovered coke brain. I don't have the dust jacket for this one on either, because I don't like having the dust jackets on while I'm reading them, but The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This is my first Leigh Bardugo, but I'm an idiot, and I own 3. But I haven't started reading any of them. I'm 50-ish pages into this one. 60. I'm 60 pages into The Familiar. And I have the pretty one with the pretty pages and the pretty pomegranate embossed on the front. You can barely see it. I have not picked that one back up in like a week or 2 now. I couldn't tell you why. I didn't read the synopsis. I bought this book forever ago. I got it like a year ago. So I didn't reread the synopsis before I started reading it again. And it was a lot darker than I expected it to be. So I just like took a little break from it. But I'm probably gonna get back up again soon. I don't know. And then the last book, which I just talked about, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if I've read any more of this since I talked about it in my haul video, but I have 200 pages left of it. Really liking it so far. And where I just left off, I just got like a huge twist. So I think this might be the one that I finished tonight, even though I have 200 pages left. But I just entered the final quarter of it, so we're gonna push through. I'm liking it a lot more than I thought I was. Like, I went into it with good faith because it was a gift from my dad. I'm not gonna go into it being like, I'm gonna fucking hate this book. I mean, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's my first romantasy. You know, if I was like a big romantasy reader, maybe I would not like it as much. But I like scenes where men pick up their love interests and fly across the city with them. Sue me. That is all I have for you guys today. So yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully this was fun for you, whatever. And hopefully I see you in February's wrap up. My next video is actually going to be a romance reading vlog. Alright, see you next time.